I'm Rhea.
And I'm Trey.
We'll share our own experience building and selling a 7-figure business, owning multiple successful brands, and share the stories of other entrepreneurs who are incredibly successful in business.
This is Billion Dollar Vision, the podcast where we educate current and future entrepreneurs to expand your vision, give you strategy, and help you take your business far beyond what you thought was even possible.
Your future is limitless, and it begins right here, right now.
Let's go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Billion Dollar Vision podcast. My name is Trey.
I'm Rhea.
And today we are excited to talk to you about a topic that we love, which is having an online course or online program. We're going to talk to you about the benefits of it, why you should think about starting one. And then we're also going to touch on why people who have started and haven't had success, where they may have gone wrong, right? And before we get into that, we're going to talk a little bit about London because that is where we are at this very moment. We've been here for a few days now, and the trip has been absolutely phenomenal. And I'm so glad that we came.
Me too. I love it here until we heard some crazy stuff this morning. But first, Trey, what's been your favorite part of London so far?
My favorite part of London would probably have to be all the different areas of London.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, all the different areas they're walkable, they're nice. Mm-hmm. The weather's been a pleasant surprise. It's typically around this time of year in the 60s, 70s, maybe even 50s. And leading up to the trip, I kept looking at the weather and it went from supposed to be 71 to 81. And then by the time 2 days before we were leaving, the weather said it was going to be at like 87. So the weather's been a pleasant surprise.
I wanted fall weather. We come from Florida.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I needed a change.
I'm glad we did not get fall weather.
But it has been nice to walk around in.
Yeah. The other thing I would say that's been really good is like the conversations that we've been having in the cab rides with the cab drivers.
They are very nice.
Yeah, very, 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 very nice. Most of them are local, so they give you a lot of insight on where to go, where not to go, what's the fun things to do, a lot of the history of the city. And also another good thing we did today, we had a photo shoot with a photographer and videographer who was absolutely out of this world. He knows London like the back of his hand.
He was really good.
He was really good. It was kind of tough when he first wrote me and said, well, I want to do this, but in order to do it, can we do hair and makeup at 4 a.m.? And I was like, dang, 4 a.m. is kind of early. But the way he explained it to me was all the different areas where we're taking photos are touristy areas, right? So if you wait too late in the day, then you won't be able to get the good shots that you want to get because too many people will be in the background. So our photo shoot started right at around 6:25 when the sun was coming up. And we got phenomenal shots, video footage.
This is for our engagement photos.
Yeah, engagement photos. So that was very, very beautiful to see. The architecture here is very nice as well. What's been your favorite part?
The engagement photos were pretty epic because it's like so busy here all the time. Like even going like 1 mile could take like 15 minutes. Like I would probably compare it to like traffic in New York City maybe, or LA, like a really busy LA day. So yeah, that was really nice. I can't wait to see those. And then the shopping is amazing. Like we haven't bought in that much stuff, but just like the shopping in general, it's very like high end here. But I think we do good. Like we only buy things that like we truly want. Like we don't just like buy stuff to buy stuff. And just like walking around, that's why I like love just like this side of the world is like, it's so walkable and you could technically walk the whole city if you have tennis shoes on, if you have the right shoes, not in heels. It's a beautiful city and I love the authenticity of people. We were talking about how like if people are just like very matter of fact here, like They don't try to sugarcoat things. It's just, it is what it is. Like if the, for example, if one of the cab drivers, and multiple people told us this, like very matter of fact, like, oh yeah, everyone knows the Queen killed Princess Diana and her, baby daddy at the time because she's racist, just like totally matter of fact. And it wasn't that they hate the Queen or anything, but I feel like in America, like, okay, just to be honest for a second, the government kills people on purpose in America, right? But no one, I'm laughing because Trey's giving me a look like, why are we talking about this?
Yeah, this podcast is taking a sharp left turn.
Okay.
That I was not expecting it to take. But keep going, though.
Cut this out. But
no, keep going.
The American government does kill people on purpose. And okay, we're gonna have to cut this.
No, it's okay. Keep going.
No, you're giving me a look.
Keep going.
I don't mean to laugh, but like, okay, so in America, though, no one like says it so matter of fact. Like, oh yeah, there was someone that found the cure for cancer. And so the government killed that person because they'll lose a lot of money, right, for pharmaceuticals if they actually have a cure for cancer that's cheap. That's not a pharmaceutical. But like in America, now you're a conspiracy theorist if you think anything different or anything bad about the government. And I think we live in a great country, but I like the authenticity of the people and how things are said in England.
Yeah, I agree that it's almost like the news channels in America are, although there may be your Democrat news channel, your Republican news channel, or the channel that's supposed to be down the middle, they typically all kind of stay on brand with their talking points.
They're all owned by the same company.
They all kind of stay on brand with their talking points, or with the topics, and then they just give alternative views to the topics, and they stay away from certain topics altogether. And I believe here that just based off reading the newspaper here, turning on the TV here, the topics, things are just discussed a lot more openly and freely. So therefore, if you have an alternative view, then they're not going to look at you as a conspiracy theorist like it is in America. It's almost like if you have a different view from what's being said on TV in America, then you're kind of
try to make you sound crazy.
Yeah, you're kind of crazy, or you're a conspiracy theorist. But with that being said, what are some other things that you like about London?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just been a great experience. I'm so happy we came here. It wasn't like the first on my list of places to go. We're here for a break, a vacation, for my birthday, for other things.
What was the first thing?
Well, remember Paris. And the
second place you mentioned was London. We couldn't go to Paris because...
And Italy. There was a bunch of places. But with that being said, I'm so happy that we ended up, through, different reasons, choosing London. It's been a really great place.
Yeah. And so for those of you who are listening on the podcast, you may not know, but we do have a YouTube. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to send Jay some of the video footage and see if he can add that into the YouTube so you all can see some of the things that we've been able to see and enjoy our trip vicariously through us. Okay, so now with that being said, let's jump into our topic. It'll be interesting to see how everything else that was said before is perceived, but
hey, it's our podcast, so
yeah, you're right. Not our platform, but at the same time, not our platform, but yes, it is our podcast. At the same time, let's jump into our topic that we're going to discuss, which is online programs. And for those of you all who may or may not know, we do have an online program, Bosses in Beauty, where we teach beauty business professionals all around the world how to grow their brick and mortar business and therefore change their lives. And we absolutely love it. We have over 1,500 students worldwide, from Austria to here in England. the Caribbean islands, Dubai, Canada, Australia. We have students everywhere, and we absolutely love it. And so we're here today to talk to you about the benefits of actually starting an online program, and also why those who may have started, and if you're listening and you have started and you haven't had success, we're going to talk about some of the ways that you probably fell into the trap of not marketing correctly, not being focused on a niche correctly, trying to chase two rabbits at once, where you have your current business and then you're trying to do online course as a hobby. You can't do that. So with that being said, I will let Rhea kick it off, and then I will follow you.
All right. So having an online business is really beneficial. And I say this in comparison to having a brick and mortar business. And I think as long as you're an entrepreneur, I mean, you're on the right path, right? I mean, let me take that back. You don't have to be an entrepreneur, but we talk to entrepreneurs. And so if you have a business, you're on the right path. And whatever path you're currently on is probably leading you into the next thing. And the benefits of having an online business compared to a brick and mortar business or like a physical store, right? Mostly comes down to overhead, and it comes down to your clients, right? Or your customer base. And so when you have a brick and mortar location, you have a ton of overhead, right? I mean, depending on the size. But for us, we had a pretty big space with a pretty big team. So the overhead every month, I mean, we could be looking at like $20,000 to $40,000 just in overhead, not even including payroll every single month. That's a huge expense. And then, you know, online, there are expenses online, right? You have your platform, you have marketing expenses. Mostly, I would say mostly a lot of the capital goes into marketing and all the back end stuff that like goes into it. And then your team, but not having that overhead is huge, right? Because then you can take so much more of that capital and put it into the marketing, which is going to grow your business. And so to me, with that, and then the customer base, right? When you have a physical store, a physical location, you're kind of limited, you're kind of capped on how many customers or clients you can serve. And although there's, you know, for the most part, you know, hundreds of thousands of people in most cities, it's like you're going from hundreds of thousands of people in your city to the world when you're online, right? In your niche, of course. Which also has its pros and cons, because now you're going from like potentially a big fish in a little pond in your city. And when you go online, now you're a tiny fish in a big pond. So that's why you have to take so much more of that marketing capital or that money for marketing to really become known in your area of expertise. But I also think, to go back like to the beginning, one of the biggest things for us, you know, starting an online business, the biggest reason was freedom. Like, we both value freedom at a very high level, freedom of time, freedom of choice, freedom of, you know, to spend time with our family and, you know, choose when we want to schedule work. And although we've been really busy and we've been working a lot, I mean, we do work. With that being said, we do work Monday through Friday, you know, most hours of the day, you know, with our, you know, we work when we have our nanny. Eventually, it's, you know, every business starts where like the owners, the founders have to work like that, right? But eventually, we believe that the online business will give us more freedom than the brick and mortar could have ever given us, right? So you're always going to have to put in the groundwork in the beginning, but eventually the model that I love about it, which we haven't done yet because I always want to teach the programs again because I always want to make them better, but that's going to stop, and now we're just going to, you know, add as it goes. But essentially, you can film something one time and sell it over and over, and then you just grow your platform, grow your audience, grow your marketing, and, you know, funnel more people into your programs and make more higher level programs or even more beginner programs, whatever way it goes.
So yeah, so that's correct. One thing I want to add to that is one of the reasons why you should start an online program. If you are a mechanic or you are someone who, let's say you style hair, and you're really good at it, right? Let's say you're a hairstylist and you're really, really good at it. There's only so much time in a day for you, number one, and it's only so much energy that you have, number two. But if you are able to teach other people who want to be hairstylists just like you can do that once, like Ray just said. You can make that video, make that program, turn it into a 4-step program, 8-step, however many phases you want, different styles, etc., that you want, and you can sell that to the world, right? You have the potential to make 10 times more money teaching people to do what you do than actually doing what you do. And so that's one of the main reasons why I think everyone should look at it. If you have the niche, if you have the knowledge, and you have the time, and you're willing to put in the effort to get coaching as far as how to set up a business online, I want to say we're telling you that you should and the benefits of it, but you also have to understand that it's slightly different from your actual brick and mortar business. Like you actually have to search out coaches. You have to figure out the right platform, like Ray had mentioned, your host platform. There's several different ones that have different features. You want to have an email strategy, email campaign. You want to make sure your Instagram is on point. You want to make sure your website is on point. It's important to have a great website for sure with a brick and mortar business, but when you have an online program where people aren't necessarily going to meet you, they're meeting you through all those different touch points. They're meeting you through LinkedIn. They're meeting you through your social media. So those have to be, like I said, on point. They got to be clean, right? You can't have a bunch of craziness on your social media pages. It has to be direct and to the point. They have to know what product they're going to get when they go to your Instagram, to your Twitter, to your LinkedIn. Your website has to be immaculate. It has to say who you are, what you do, why you're good at it, and how you're going to teach them. Your email strategy has to be the same way. So these are all things that if you're going to get into it, you have to have those things, or you have to be willing to learn to do those things or pay someone to do those things. They don't have to be full-time employees. They can be contractors. But those are things that you're going to have to look at that are really, really, really important when you're selling to the world, as Rhea said.
Yeah, and not only that, but I mean, also we're looking at sales pages, right? Individual, like lead pages for certain programs. And when he says on point, when Trey says on point, it's also like not just the look and aesthetic and, cleanliness or like
how clean
it looks, but it's also your messaging. And messaging, I think, is something that a lot of people miss. And for example, like when we launch a program, I don't think anyone ever realizes how much goes into every single line, every single sentence is looked at because messaging is so important. And there's a reason we have like 20-page long sales pages, or enrollment pages. And it's important. It makes a massive difference. But I think that a lot of people just see the surface level of it and they don't really understand like how much actually goes into launching an online business.
Yeah, she's right. So the wording on our sales pages, we have a copywriter. The copywriter takes time to, number one, our copywriter did a great job of finding Rhea's voice on Instagram, right? So a lot of copywriters don't do that, but our copywriter did take the time to do that. So the emails and the wording sounds it's said and worded in the cadence that Rhea naturally speaks in. So it sounds authentic. So that's very, very important. A lot of people do miss that. A lot of people try to say, I can just do it myself. And that may get you, it'll get you so far.
Yeah, I did it myself in the beginning.
Yeah,
but it's much better now.
Yeah, I remember one time someone did it, Ray didn't like it, and then she went in.
I redid the whole entire thing myself.
Redid the whole entire thing.
And it did decent, but I also
it did decent.
Really know our audience. And, right? And so our copywriter takes that, and she also has interviewed me and like really taken the time to understand the audience.
But what my point is this, doing things yourself, like you have to operate in your zone of genius, right? So although Rhea was able to type it up, right, because she knows her own voice, she's written captions before, even that still wasn't, that was without the knowledge of actually how to do it, right? There was no coaching at that point.
No, I followed our mentor's sales page process.
Oh, you followed this process?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
But I still wasn't great at messaging. Exactly. I was just great at understanding like our ideal client.
Exactly. So you don't want to do all these different things on your own. And those can get you started, but if you're really trying to go far and you're really trying to sell to the world and grow, you're probably going to find a professional. Some of the other benefits of having an online program, Ray touched on it, the freedom. We love our freedom and our time. We probably do have more time. We work every day of the week. Sometimes there's not enough hours in the day, but ultimately we do have the time and freedom. Like right now, we're able to take a vacation. When most of the time, if we had the brick and mortar, we probably wouldn't be able to take the vacation when we took it. It'd probably have to be more planned out from a time aspect, and you know what I mean, right? So yeah, that's one of the other benefits for sure. Overhead is very low. Profit is very high if you do it correctly. The one thing I will say that we have been able to do, because the one thing you have to be careful of is not growing so quick that you're not able to service everyone and service your students in the correct way. We've been able to hire coaches to help deal with that as we've grown. So that's another benefit and those coaches don't have to be full-time employees as well. But one of the benefits is when you're able to service people in a much better way, then you can able to get testimonials, and the testimonials and referrals turn into more clientele for you. You ready to go into the challenges and why people may fail?
Yeah, because I see a lot of people fail in the online space, just being in the Facebook groups that we're part of, like from programs that we've done and masterminds. Not so much in our higher level masterminds, but in the more base level programs. I'm seeing more recently, I think because the barrier to entry is so low to start an online business, and the lower a barrier to entry to something, the more saturated it's going to be, but also the more like, I don't know, it's weird. It's like, it's not competition for the best, right? For people who are really experts at what they do and are teaching that, but it's high competition for people that are just joining to join, right? And so, to be honest, I don't think everyone should have an online course, but I do think if you're really, really good at what you do, you should teach it, because like Trey said, you can make 10x the money teaching what you do. But I see a lot of people just doing it as a side thing, or like, let me try this, and not being an expert. And then also I see people that are maybe, they see other people from a surface level, right? Like they may see us and they say, oh, they just promote on Instagram and have affiliates. And so they start an online course and they promote on Instagram and have affiliates, and they wonder why that their launches sold 5 and we sell, hundreds. And that's because they don't see how much it is a business. Like there's so much in-depth knowledge and work that goes into it. And we've spent, $100,000 on coaches to help us get there, right? Like anytime you hire a coach or a mentor, it's gonna help you be more successful in that area because they've been there, they've done it, right? And so that's part of it. The other side of it is I think if you have a business currently and it's just you as the business and you have no help, or you have a little bit of help, but you're still in it every day, like you still work, maybe a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday or more, it may not be the right time for you to start an online program because you don't have the time, energy, and focus. And so what you're doing is if you're still in your business every single day, like working that much, starting another business is just adding to your plate. It's like, here I am, a super employee in my one business. Let me just add a whole nother business where I'll also be a super employee because I'm too fearful to hire a team. And so, we didn't start an online business until, our brick and mortar had a team for like years before the online business was started. And so the reason it was so successful was because it didn't require any, not any at all, but minimal time, focus, and energy. So all that time, focus, and energy went into the online. And that's why we were so successful so fast compared to other people. And that, and the knowledge and the expertise as well. And so what I would say is, if you have one business, first scale it, first grow your team, first free up your time, free up your energy and focus, and then start your online business.
What I'll say is what I've noticed, and the reasons why I think people probably don't succeed when they do have an online business. It's a few things. Number one, they're looking at people as money instead of serving people. All right. So a lot of people get into this thinking, oh, look what they're doing, I can do it too. Because they're looking at it like
they add up.
What they're really saying is, look what they're doing, look how much money they're making, I can make the same amount of money. When they don't understand, like, instead of looking at, don't compare your situation to what we're doing. Instead, you should actually study the strategies that we use, because every now and then there's little nuggets that Rhea leaks out there as far as the coaches that we have. And then when, like in our testimonials show you that we actually care about people. We're actually serving the students. They're getting something from it. It's not a transactional situation. We're literally working with students well beyond the time frame that we had told ourselves we were going to. Why? Because we care and we know that it's not about money. It's about the relationship and it's about students succeeding. So if you start an online business, don't look at it from a standpoint of, I'm going to make more money. You need to be able to be in the service industry, because that's exactly what it is. The greatest people, like Ray said, at the bottom, it's a lot of competition because it's a lot of people just trying to chase money. At the top, the people at the top with an online business are literally serving others at the highest level to the best that they can. That's the separator. And it's not very crowded at the top because not everyone's willing to serve. Not everyone has the time to serve. Why? Because most people have a business that they're running at the same time, or they don't understand. They don't have the knowledge
to help other people.
The second thing I'll say is, and it sounds simple, but it's not. I think it's the wording. Most people don't know the wording that you need to use online, and you probably speak in a way that you think you would want to be spoken to, versus understanding that that's not what always works, right? So you have to understand what pulls people in with your headlines, with your titles, with your captions. You can't say it in a way that you're talking to your best friend who understands you, right? Because it's the other thing, they're reading this stuff. So since they're reading it, you have to say it in a simplistic way, and a way that's clear-cut and understandable for them, because you don't know what language is their first language, number one. Number two, you don't know what country they're in and how they're going to perceive things, right? So you can't just word things the way you want to word it online. it doesn't work that way. They're not hearing your voice most of the time. They may hear you on Instagram. When it comes to a sales page, they're not really hearing your voice, they're reading. And the third thing I would say why people fail online is the lack of commitment, and the lack of commitment from the standpoint of sticking with it, being consistent with their launches, being consistent with their time, showing up online. And it's tough. Rail will talk about it. It's tough to show up when you don't want to show up.
I'm the worst at that.
Yeah, it's tough,
I don't
right?
show up. I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work on it.
No, for real. And it's real. It's a real thing. So it takes your energy, right? So it's definitely not for people who don't want to show up and don't want to do those things. And I guess the other part of the commitment is you got to be committed to the back end process as well. You got to be committed to the emails and responding to people's emails because issues come up. And you may be used to dealing people with face to face, where if they have a question, you answer right away. And so things get resolved a little quicker. But with the online space, it's an email. So you got to have the time to respond to those emails or pay someone to respond to those emails, because situations arise and they have to be dealt with quickly. People want instant gratification and instant problem solve when they pay you money. And so those are the three things that I'm sure you're going to have something that I'll eventually bounce off of. But
yeah. And I also think that, it goes back to like, I'm so big on team for everyone, but I don't think people realize how much goes into the back end. Like, so in our business, I'm more of the front end, right? Like I'm on the social media more, and I am the main mentor in our programs. Like Trey coaches too, but Trey is the CEO. He's like, if you've ever read the book Traction, he is the integrator. It talks about there's a visionary and an integrator. And the integrator is like the most important part because they're the person putting everything together. And if people saw what actually goes into it, like what he does to make our launches so big, like they would realize why they're not having any success. Like they're not putting a quarter of what Trey puts into the back end. And also understanding paid ads. A lot of people won't take the risk to not only do paid ads, but they won't take the risk to invest money before they make money. And like, if you look at our last launch, we had a really big launch, a few $100,000. But what people didn't see is that we were willing to invest, I think we put close to $100,000 into it before we saw a penny, right? And that's before we sold the business. It wasn't like we had a ton of money in the bank. Like we were on empty, putting everything we had into it. And people aren't willing to take that risk, but the more you're willing to risk, the bigger the reward always. And I feel like I just see people like tiptoeing, like, well, let me do this the least riskiest way possible. The least way, cheap. Yeah, absolutely. That's cheap. A good way to put it. And, it's not all about Instagram followers for sure, but I see people with 100,000 followers, 50,000 followers, like way more than we have doing. I mean, you would think they sell a lot, but they don't, like barely any. And I know this just from personal experience of having affiliates, right? Our affiliates with 5,000 followers sell way more than the people with 100,000 followers. And it comes down to engagement, really, with that. But I think with the people that see it and they think that they can do it, they're just really staying service level and they're not taking the risk.
So as far as investing, we talked about this in previous episodes, you got to invest something in order to, as the saying goes, you reap what you sow. So if you don't sow any seeds, you won't reap any harvest, right? And you have to be willing to take the risk of sowing the seed. And sometimes in the farming industry, your whole crop may get washed away, may get flooded out. But at the same time, that doesn't happen every single time, right? And you also know that had you not planted anything, you wouldn't have had anything grow. So, and there would have been no chance of anything growing. So when she says we invested X amount before the launch even started, that was because we understand the way the world works. And the way business works is you have to invest. Mm-hmm. You have to invest money in order to have a shot. Now, as far as the ads, I did say some people are being cheap. Like she said, they tiptoe around and they try to do things themselves or say, well, I don't have to do this. I'll just do Instagram. The other part to it is sometimes you could be paying the wrong social media ads person. And because you may not know exactly how the social media ads work, as far as Facebook ads, so to speak, you may not know how it works. So some ads managers can get over on you, right? And they can take your money, sell you a promise, and then when it doesn't happen, they can say, "Oh well, it didn't happen because of this or that," or they'll come up with an excuse. But since you don't know the ads, you don't know what they're saying is right or wrong. That's another part to it of why people don't succeed as well. It's not just that I said cheap. A lot of people are being cheap, but some people do have the wrong Facebook ads managers running their ads. What are some other things that people could be doing wrong?
I think like maybe even just to wrap it up, like the expertise is big. Like we've had, and you know, I adore our students, but we've had multiple students that have gone through our program, grown their business a tiny bit, and now they, you know, have their online course, like teaching other people how to grow their business, which is fine. But I don't see them successful in that business, but they might be successful in their other. But it's only to a certain point. And like I said in the beginning, like you really have to take it to that point of like, in my opinion, you can only teach people. Well, okay, never mind. I shouldn't say that. Not that anyone could teach someone, but you almost want to be like 10 steps ahead of the people you're teaching. And I feel like I see people teaching 1 or 2 steps ahead, which is okay. But then now you're going to get okay results because you're just a tiny bit ahead of people. If you can really focus in and become a master, become an expert at what you do in business or what you do in your craft and be 10 steps ahead of most people, now not only can you be higher priced in value, your students are going to have better results, but now you're really setting yourself apart from everyone else. I see people doing it way too fast, and I honestly think it's hurting people more than it's helping people. So that's why I say scale first, and then when you have the time, focus, and energy, now go all in on the online.
Yeah,
that time.
That makes sense. You can't be a 3 or 4 teaching 1 or 2s. Because number one, they're going to hit a ceiling so quickly. But
you don't know how to help them.
You don't know how to help them after that, which means they're going to go to someone else anyway, right? Following that. But number 2, the energy that you spent teaching them and just trying to get their money, right, to get to the level 3 and 4, you could have elevated yourself from a 3 or 4 to a 5, 6, 7, 8, right, before you decided to do that.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you good?
Yeah, what if people say, well, are you guys going to teach this?
One day we will. One day
we will.
Yeah, one day we will teach you how to have an online program and how to have an online business. Right now, we are pretty solid at it. We're pretty solid at it, but at the same time...
We want to be that 10.
Yeah, we want to be an absolute 10 when we got this stuff on autopilot before we try to teach you how to have it on autopilot, and we ain't got it on autopilot. And then y'all looking at us.
Live what you teach, right? Like, we literally just told people, don't teach people. And here's the thing. We make, honestly, way more than most people actually teaching people how to grow their online business. Like, I think we're way further ahead than most people, and we still won't teach it because we're not on that 10 on a level besides financially, right?
Yeah.
Like on a systems, and we even have that. But yeah, live what you teach. We're going to be so rock solid when we teach it that you guys are going to want to sign up.
Yeah, we're going to be rock solid so we can teach you guys how to be on that rock solid level and take it from 0 to 10. So with that being said, we are signing off from London. We love you guys, appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe, you like. We appreciate all the downloads. We have over 400 downloads.
Really? That's awesome.
Yep, over 400 downloads. And we will see you on the next episode of the $1 Billion Vision podcast. Peace.
Remember, it all starts with your big vision.
Stay determined and always keep your $1 billion vision alive. Please, wherever you are listening, subscribe and leave us a 5-star review.
It would mean the world to us.
See you next time.
I was listening for too long. Something in my heart told me